Hello and welcome to our series Leaders in Medicine. Today it's a great pleasure to introduce you to Professor Ian Jacobs. Ian is the Dean of Biomedical Sciences here at University College London. Ian, good morning.
Good morning.
I always start with the same question, which is, what made you become a doctor? When did you decide that medicine was the life for you?
I've been asked that a lot actually, and all I can say is that I knew when I was about 8 or 9 years old that I wanted to be a doctor. Jokingly, I say that it's because of the Doctor in the House series, the Lancelot Spratt stuff, which partly the humour of it, partly the status, I guess, the feeling that, partly the excitement of that programme, I suppose. But I think that's really joking. I think it was a combination of feeling there was something in medicine that gave you unique opportunities to do something really worthwhile for other people, combined with the status, combined with the academic side of it, that just clicked in me from a very early age. So I never really had to make a decision. Did I want to do medicine? I just knew I wanted to do it, and I was lucky enough to get into medical school, and then everything flows from there. And actually, it's interesting when I contrast that now to my children. None of my 3 children want to do medicine, but they don't quite know what they want to do, and they're 21, 19, and 16, so they haven't decided what their careers are. And it's very easy when you know you want to do medicine. Life's much easier, I think. So
you didn't come from a medical background there? Then your background was not medical?
In fact, I think I'm the first medical person in the family. My father, the family roots are in the East End of London, in the either tailors or dressmakers, and my father left school when he was pretty young, 14 or 15, and didn't have the benefit of any university education. So the pride that my parents have had in both the success of myself and my brother is actually quite an interesting driver in wanting to succeed. But pride without any real pressure, but real intense pride at whatever we've achieved.
Now your clinical specialty is gynecology. So how did you develop a career track in women's health?
Looking back, I know why I went into obstetrics and gynecology. It was the thing in medical school at the time where you could pick up one textbook, read it in 24, 48 hours, because the textbooks in obstetrics and gynecology weren't that big, and really feel you'd mastered the topic to a certain extent, and also that you got first time hands-on experience. So delivering a baby, and in the medical curriculum there, you had to deliver 10 to 20 babies yourself, with a midwife around, but you actually had to do it yourself, and that was the first real hands-on experience of doing something in medicine. But it was also spectacularly exciting and fulfilling and happy.
And what sent you in the academic direction, so moving into the groundbreaking research that you've been able to undertake over the years?
The first house job I got was at Mount Vernon Hospital, working for someone called Professor Stanley Dish, who was a radiotherapist. And as part of it, so part of it was in general medicine, but part of it was the rotation to oncology. And it was a fantastic service he ran at Mount Vernon. He had multidisciplinary teams at that time when not many places running cancer services did. And he was very supportive. And he was also a very highly respected academic and clinician. And I said that I wanted to do obstetrics and gynecology. He said, well, when the first teaching hospital job comes up in obstetrics and gynecology, let me know and I'll write to the oncology person in gynae. And Stanley Dish did exactly what he said, and he wrote to someone called David Oram, consultant gynecological oncologist at the Royal London, when that job, an SHO job at the London came up. And David Oram had an immediate impression on me because I was just applying for an SHO job.
Yes.
And he met me on the steps of the Royal London Hospital, and he spent an hour showing me around the obstetrics and gynecology department there. He was a fairly newly appointed consultant. And the fact that someone of that seniority was prepared to give me that much time, as you'd expect, had a big influence, but also meant to me that if I went for that job, which I did, that I would get supported and guided and mentoring, and that certainly was the case. And I still do work with, although we're not in the same university or hospital, we still work closely together.
Has it been difficult to become more and more a sort of, well, not really an administrator, but a leader and manager of big programs of the university here when you are a clinician at heart?
The thrill is about leadership and supporting other people, but also articulating a really clear vision in an exciting area. Now, for me, that has always been about combining the clinical side and the academic side. It's always been at that interface where it seemed to me that there's real excitement and real potential. And it follows on from my story about the Royal London Hospital, because the CA125 biomarker, which I still work with, was discovered by Bob Bast, who, when he discovered it, he was in Harvard, but he then moved on to Duke. And at about the time that David Orr and myself were dealing with all these terrible problems with ovarian cancer patients, the CA125 marker became available, and I went over to Duke University, and I had a very similar experience with Bob Bast in a way as with David Oram, in that I went over there on a Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynae short fellowship, just for a couple of weeks, I think. They funded me to go there. And Bob Bast, who is now professor at the MD Anderson, had a very powerful vision for translational medicine, about the place where there was real potential and excitement and the capacity to make a difference was at the interface between clinical care and translation of research. And he led a big program at Duke, and he had a big influence on my academic career, and I suppose extending that beyond my own research group, my own clinical work, to a leadership role which involves very large groups of researchers working very closely with the NHS environment.
What have you enjoyed most about being at UCL?
Where do I begin? I've had an extraordinary 7 years at UCL. The reason that I moved from Barts and QMUL to UCL 7 years ago was because of the opportunity to set up a new Institute for Women's Health. When I was approached about that move, the easy bits were about moving the research group and setting up clinical work, but what I was looking for was an opportunity that couldn't be provided where I was. And the dean at the time, Leon Fine, and the medical director at the time, David Fish, as soon as the idea of establishing an Institute for Women's Health was mentioned, they were very sure that it would be strongly supported at UCLH and UCL, and that has been the case.
Now, I'm very sorry to hear that you're heading off to Manchester, but new challenges, looking forward to it?
Yeah, exciting new challenges. Over the last few years at UCL, I've had some really extraordinary opportunities related to the Comprehensive Biomedical Research Centre, which again is about bringing academics and clinicians together across the NHS university interface, the Academic Health Science Centre, UCL Partners, and then of course being Dean of UCL. And I've been Dean for approaching 2 years now, and I still wake up every morning, pinch myself that, well, this is not something I really ever planned would happen, but what a privilege to be Dean of Medicine at UCL. So why leave? And yes, it's hard to leave because I've had fantastic colleagues and great opportunities. The opportunity in Manchester has a particular scope and scale that really almost feels as if what I've done in my career up to now in various leadership roles has been leading up to this opportunity. It combines being the Dean of a Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, and it's important for me that the health sciences there include nursing, midwifery, sociology, dentistry, pharmacy, psychology, as well as medicine. All of that in a great university, but also linked to an academic health science system which extends right across Greater Manchester. There are 6 NHS trusts, hospital trusts, primary care, mental health trusts, and a very large population that, if the team in Manchester can get it right, the benefits there for taking really high quality science and applying it to the benefit of clinical populations is really awesome. Now, of course, there are major challenges, and I probably don't know all the challenges because I haven't started there yet. But I see this as a fantastic opportunity to apply and translate science to the benefit of a very large, clearly defined population, where actually there are some of the biggest health challenges in the UK.
Ian, it's going to be sad to see you go to Manchester, but it's clear that you, even in your 7 years here, have left us a great legacy, made fantastic foundations on which we'll all build in the future. Thank you very much for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Jean.